What's this life for? Today, on my own podcast, we break down What's this life for? Hello, my friend. We meet again. Welcome to my own podcast, the only Creed podcast that we know of. My name is Andrew Colin, and with me, as always, is my friend, my co-pilot, my first mate, Reid Fenlaw. What's up, Reid?
What's up, Daddy?
Okay. I told you in confidence about how I don't like people calling other people daddy.
Daddy.
And there you go. You just do it anyway.
Yeah, I did it.
I'm running out of things for synonyms for the word partner, but I'll just keep coming up with them as we go.
Okay, that's cool.
How you been, man?
Oh, we're just going. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm good. I'm real good. I'm excited about today. I did almost throw out my back yesterday.
Doing what?
Working out. I was doing deadlifts, and for a second I thought I wasn't going to be able to stand up, but then I did because I'm strong.
The thing about deadlifts, man, is they always are people like, oh, they're so good for you, but I feel like everyone injures themselves doing that.
Yeah, and I wasn't even going that all that heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just
you got to be careful, man. We're old.
Yeah, my body wanted a nap instead of a training session.
You know, it's funny that happened to you yesterday because yesterday I was also working out. We are athletic men.
Yeah, we're super athletic.
And I was doing a bench press at my home gym by myself, and I failed, but thank God I have those little bar things there.
The little safeties?
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever failed.
Were you maxing out?
I guess I was. I've done that weight before, but I guess I was just really tired.
I'm sorry.
So I'm a sissy is what I'm getting at.
And I'm your daddy.
Yeah, because you're old, throwing out your back.
Whatever, dude. My back, maybe I just went too hard because I'm recapturing my youth. Ever think of that?
Maybe you can recapture your youth a little bit today.
I'm going to.
I guess we do that every time we talk about Creed because they meant a lot to us growing up.
Yeah. Are you ready to talk about what this life's for?
Are you mean philosophically about the meaning of life or about the song?
We could have a greater discussion on that. I think maybe we'll figure it out by the end of this episode anyway, what the purpose is. I've got some ideas. Are they good? No. Are they appropriate? No. But do I believe them? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's just get into the song because as this will be the third single we're covering.
Correct.
I think we should probably get into it because we probably got a lot of meat on this bone.
We got some meat. To be honest, not quite as much as I anticipated.
Really?
There's some meat, more than other songs, but I mean, for instance, it was only referenced once and very fleetingly in Scott Stapp's memoir, Sinner's Creed.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I was surprised too. But I'm gonna pop off some basic facts if you're ready for them.
Yeah, I'm ready for some facts.
It's not gonna influence the meaning. I'll save that stuff for after.
Obviously.
As you mentioned, this is the third single.
Was it the third single released as well?
Third single released off My Own Prison, after My Own Prison and Torn.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 9th of 10 tracks on the album. We're almost through this album. That's crazy. Released as a single June 9th, 1998. This song marked Creed's first #1 song on the Billboard Mainstream Rock Tracks chart. And it stayed there for 6 weeks.
Damn.
From September 19th to October 24th, 1998.
So this peaked at #1 before, after, and My Own Prison didn't, is what I meant to say?
Correct.
That's wild.
But if that chart, the Billboard Mainstream Rock Tracks chart, sounds
specific,
a little obscure.
Yes.
It kind of is. The singles off the My Own Prison album were not sold as singles in the U.S. in order to try to boost album sales.
Okay.
Right? This is CDs, right?
Right.
So they're not just putting out digital singles. So instead of printing the single disc, usually with a single and maybe one lesser known song on it, they just stuck to the whole album in the U.S.
Gotcha.
Because of that, the album or the songs were ineligible for the more widely known Billboard Hot 100 chart.
Weird. Okay. There's so many like little qualifications,
Yes.
I feel like, in these charts.
Yes. So
okay.
Billboard Hot 100 is the one everyone knows. It's like if you generally reference like a song that peaked at 1, it's on that chart.
Gotcha. So this is a different one.
Different one, because theirs were ineligible.
Guys, got to keep your grades up to be
Come on,
eligible.
guys. No pass, no play.
Yes.
It was one of Scott and Mark's 3 favorite songs from the album, according to them, along with Torn and My Own Prison.
Okay, so the singles, real creative, guys.
We like the songs.
Do you also like Higher?
We like the songs that did best for us. We like the songs that made us famous.
The best Led Zeppelin song is, I don't know, Stairway to Heaven? Hot take.
Let's see. The music and lyrics were mostly written by Mark Tremonti.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Scott wrote the lyrics to the bridge. That's it.
Of course he did.
Yep.
Well, I'll get into that later. That is really surprising to me. I guess I'll discuss that as we go.
It was also used in the 1998 film Halloween H2O, 20 years later.
Oh my gosh. Gotta watch that.
Let's watch it today.
All right. Halloween H2O. Is any recognizable cast in there that I might know?
Wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis in the reboot too?
Oh, it was the reboot?
Well, that was like the...
Yeah, of Halloween. I didn't know it was called H2O, though.
It's because it was Halloween...
Underwater?
Yes. It's because it was 20 years... They had to explain it in the title because it was so confusing. Because it's Halloween, or H is Halloween, and then 20 is 20 years after the original.
Oh, okay.
But they called it Halloween H2O, and then did colon 20 years later. That's because it was so confusing.
Awful.
I believe she was still in it.
Yeah, if it was the reboot or the remake or whatever, I think she was. I didn't connect the two.
Yeah, she's in it. Jamie Lee Curtis, man. Michelle Williams, Josh Hartnett, LL Cool J, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Stacked cast.
Dude, let's fucking
And there's Creed in there?
Yes.
We got to get on this.
Yes.
Any other facts you have about the song?
Yes, but they will spoil the meaning.
Okay.
So we got to save those.
Well, before we dive into the lyrics, I always like asking any preconceived thoughts about the song or any like associated memories you have with this one. I thought maybe you would for this because it's a single. So
yeah, I just remember thinking like this was the deepest song I'd ever heard in my life when I was, 17, 18 years old. I was like, dude, that's what a great question, guys. Like what a really great fucking question. Like I don't know. What is it? What am I doing here?
That's great.
What am I doing here?
I love it. I can't. Why would I bother doing my trigonometry homework?
Yeah. Does it all matter in the long run? Like, do I need to know equations? Do I
What's
need to
it
know how to work
for?
equations? I don't know.
That's good. It's a song that helped you to question everything, which is something you learn, I feel like, in college and beyond. Question everything, man.
I did, but I still don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think we ever will. Maybe after the review the song.
I don't know. I don't know if Creed even. I don't know if they knew. I think they were. This is not a rhetorical question by them. I think they were really hoping for some feedback. Please, someone let us know why we're doing this.
I'm surprised they didn't drop like a PO box in the lyrics.
The funny thing that is on this one, it's like when they wrote this song, they weren't anything yet.
Yeah, so I guess I probably wouldn't be expecting any fan mail answering any.
They were just like, man, why are we
questions for them?
Why are we doing this? We're recording in I'm playing drums in some guy's bathroom while Scott's in his kid's bedroom laying down vocals, and we're trying to make an album for $6,000. Like, what are we doing?
P.O. Box 145, Fort Lauderdale.
Do you have any specific memories or associations with this, or something it makes you feel? Something that makes you think?
I feel like this is one of those songs that I discovered after kind of diving into Creed for the first time. I was like, oh, what are their other major hits or singles? And be like, oh, I just kind of remember being like, oh, this is the slow one. And that's kind of all
Yeah. I mean, it's one of their more melodic, slower songs.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's dive in. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hooray for a child that makes it through. if there's any way, because the answer lies in you.
Okay. So to start, I kind of felt like this song is sort of like them singing to a group of people that feel lost. I'm going to just throw that out there because I feel like that informs the rest of my very intellectual analysis. So that said, hooray for a child that makes it through just sort of sounds like we're recognizing sort of like an everyday miracle of a child either being born or making it through the hardship of their childhood. And if there's any way, because the answer lies in you, that just, like, I feel like it's still early in the song, so there's not like a big thesis yet, but it just feels like alluding to the fact that an answer to someone's problems are not external, they're internal. So that, because obviously the song is called What's This Life For? I think what he's getting at the beginning is that the answer is within yourself. That's what this life is for. You're going to find it internally, not externally. Pretty good, right?
Yeah, pretty good. Okay, and we're done.
Okay, yeah, moving on.
So the second line, I agree. I think he's saying an answer lies internal. The first thought I had was hooray. It's such a weird way to start a song. Like,
hooray,
is there any other rock song that starts with hooray?
We're gonna have to look into this.
I can't think of one.
The closest thing I could think of off the top of my head was just like the Beatles' birthday song. I'd be like, "This ain't your birthday."
Yeah, but
there's no hooray. I know, but it's like similar.
It's just such a funny like exclamation.
It's also not a grunge band or post-grunge band.
Like the way Scott sings it, it sounds cool. That hooray for. Anyway, hooray for a child that makes it through. Yeah, to me, it's celebrating a kid that makes it out of like childhood.
Yeah.
And I think we know like both Scott and Mark had some weird shit in their childhoods. You think it could be birth? Like you think it's like a doctor as a kid passes out of his mother's vagina to be born into the world, and the doctor's like, hooray, a child made it through.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But I think it could be either. I just think the childhood, whether it's from birth to being a fully formed or realized person, is a process. So I don't think it's specifically childbirth or specifically anything. I just think it's making it through childhood.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. They're laid to rest before they've known just what to do. Their souls are lost because they could never find.
Okay, I think this part is a little more straightforward. I just think it's an allusion to the fact that like many people die and go through life without sort of finding a deeper meaning, and that in doing so, without reflecting internally and without, through whatever method of prayer or whatever, that they feel really lost in this existence because they could never find what their life is for. So I think it's just kind of a depiction of people being really lost and feel like they're floating in this life without realizing what deeper meaning or purpose they have.
I mean, I'm pretty lockstep here with you. I think he's specifically speaking to like youths, and I think that they're saying they've laid to rest where they've known just what to do, and their souls are lost because like you don't know how to deal with life as a youth.
Right.
I mean, I didn't.
What did you do as a youth?
Dude, I forked people's yards.
What does the forked people's yards mean?
When you buy a bunch of plastic forks, stick them in their yard, like all over the place, and then you walk through and you kick the tops, and it snaps the tops, or they're just left with the prongs stuck in the yard.
That's fucked.
And they can't really see them, and then it starts to grow up.
Did you ever actually do that?
Yeah. Then it starts to grow up, and as they're pushed up slowly, they'll really fuck up a lawnmower.
You're a murderer.
Yeah. We also used to, God, I shouldn't be admitting this. We also used to drive down the street, one of us hanging out with a bat.
Oh, no, mailboxes?
Oh, yeah.
You fucker.
Dude, I know. That's a federal crime.
Is it really?
Yeah, I have immunity, though. It's statute of limitations. Can't come after me.
You can admit anything on a podcast without
it doesn't count. This is safe. This is a safe space.
Immunity.
This is like, we're doing this podcast. We're recording this podcast in Switzerland.
You know what I did when I was a teenager?
Yeah. Looked at naughty porno mags.
Besides that.
Whoa, dude. What did you do?
Went to IHOP with my friends late at night, ate chicken fingers and pancakes.
And then went out and set things on fire.
No, just kind of like went to bed.
And they went out and like crashed parties and spiked their punch.
No, more like played Halo 3 online with my friends.
Oh, like, and then snuck out onto the roof of their parents' house and drank vodka from a scope bottle and smoked Swisher Sweets.
No, more like maybe watched a movie or two and then went to bed.
Oh.
So it had a
similar, very similar.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah. Similar. Okay. Chorus. I'm only going to read this once.
Okay. You don't want to read it?
Know that he says it, he sings it 4 times very painstakingly.
Yes.
What's this life for?
So I think this is pretty straightforward as well. I think he's kind of saying, what's the meaning of life? Where's the deeper meaning? What am I supposed to get out of this life? What am I supposed to do with my life to feel fulfilled?
Yep. Yeah. I think he's saying, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's a question. I think it's a age-old question of why are we really here? Why are we on a floating round rock hurtling through space, working jobs, and then we're just gone, and then this whole earth someday will be wiped out as well. Like, so what's really the point?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the day the sun explodes.
Sorry, did I just depress you?
Maybe a little bit.
You like downshifted. You noticeably downshifted.
Shoulders shrunk, eyes closed.
I think we'll be long gone. I think we'll be long gone before that happens.
Okay, cool.
But just know that someday, someone in one of our lineages will probably be around when the Earth is wiped out by aliens or an asteroid. Or it's just like we've used up all the resources.
I'm definitely voting sun explosion.
You want this? That's how you think we go?
Yeah.
I think we get hit by like a giant meteor that knocks off like a third of the Earth's surface, and then it fucks with our gravity and our rotation because we can no longer like spin and move correctly.
Okay, let's place a bet.
Okay.
How
much you want to bet? I'll bet you $100 million. All right,
I bet you $100 million too. You've seen it here.
We're shaking on it.
Shaking
right now,
on it.
for people just listening.
Hold us to this bet.
100 million. Wow, dude, you're so fucked.
I know.
Idiot.
Shit.
Sun explosion.
Would you say though that the what's this life for? I don't know. It kind of feels like, because I think it's easy to look at the song in a way that's like really depressing, but it feels more like introspective. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I was going to hit that later. I actually think there's a noticeable shift in the tone of the song.
For sure.
For me, it's pretty dark for the first 2 verses and 2 choruses.
Yeah.
Then for me, the end is super hopeful, and I think it's marked with a music shift too.
Yeah.
Like
the piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do agree with that. Okay, moving into the second verse, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
I see your soul. It's kind of gray. You see my heart. You look away. You see my wrist. I know your pain.
I think this is sort of similar to the last verse, only this time I think the singer is empathizing more with the person he's singing to.
You can call him Scott.
Well, it's also Mark, I guess, wrote the lyrics, which I didn't know.
That's fair.
Anyway.
Way to be equitable.
Thanks, man. So, yeah, I think the person he's singing to is feeling that sense of lostness that we discussed earlier, and that their soul in that way feels kind of floating and isn't really enriched in the way that maybe it was when they were younger and more carefree. I do like the line, you see my heart, you look away, because I think what I took this to mean was that, like, I don't know, when you're kind of lost and feeling shitty and you see people maybe with their shit together, it's often really hard when you're like, you feel depressed or something and you see a person that, like, on the surface looks like they have all their shit together and are really getting more out of life than you are. And you're like, well, why the fuck can't I do that? So I think that's what it means when you look away. Like, you don't want to look at people that are maybe experiencing things that you want to experience. And then I think similarly, you see my wrist, I know your pain. I think that's an allusion to, like, the fact that the singer is not as put together as maybe it comes across, but like they have scars, which is like as an image, it's like the cuts on your wrist are sort of that image of having physical pain, whether that's self-induced or whatever. Like they've been through stuff to get to where they are now.
Yeah. Been through some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much with you. I think it's interesting, like this verse, they're much more speaking directly to someone. Where in the first verse, the word "you" is only used once, and this is like you, your. So it gets much more personal. He's recognizing what someone is going through. Like gray skies are kind of thought of as depressing, like no cheer, just gloom. So I see your soul. It's dark. It's gloomy. I think he's also they see my heart and look away. Kind of like you, or goes along with what you said about when someone is depressed and they see someone who's got their shit together. It's hard. I think it's just hard to connect with people too when you're feeling depressed. So I think that like you see my heart, you look away. It's tough to connect with someone who is open and maybe does have some sort of like love in their life. And you're like, fuck, man, I don't have anything. It's easier to just not look at it. You see my wrist. I know your pain. This is where, for me, like the song, becomes more clearly about suicide and self-harm. A little bit alluded to in the first verse of like laying children to rest. It's empathizing with the listener. Like, I see you. I've been there. I've got the shit to prove it. Yeah, this is where it starts to get. This is still dark for me here.
Yeah.
Okay, and rounding out the second verse, I know your purpose on your plane. Don't say a last prayer because you could never find. And then into the chorus.
Yeah, I think the one line, purpose on your plane, I'm a little confused because I don't think he's talking about like an Airbus.
You don't?
No, I don't think it's a physical plane.
You don't think it's...
I could be wrong.
I think it's part of the Boeing conspiracy.
It could be it could be about chemtrails.
Yeah. Dude, they're poisoning us.
Yeah.
Right now.
It could be about that. It could be about the Wright brothers. But I think what he's just kind of getting to is like, even if you don't see your purpose in this world, I do. I know you've been wounded, but I've been there and I can help. And then don't say a last prayer because you can never find. I think it's just saying like, don't give up and don't say your final goodbyes and final prayers and give up on faith or give up on life just because you couldn't find out what this life's for. Because there's reason to keep going and keep looking for it.
And that is to become a Boeing whistleblower.
Yeah, and you can invent something as good as a plane like the Wright brothers did if you just keep working at it.
Dude, the Wright brothers? Do you think the song is really about them?
Yeah, don't they mention Kitty Hawk?
It's about aviate. Yeah. Well, it's implied.
Yeah. Whenever they reference their P.O. box in Tampa, they say something about Kitty Hawk.
Kitty Hawk. You know what state that's in?
North Carolina.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
I do geography.
I do geography. Yeah, I think I know your purpose. I think the singer, Scott Mark, he knows what they think their purpose is, which is to take their own life. Again, this is me. But I already kind of knew what this song was about. Don't say your last prayer. That line, I think it's telling kids / people to, not feel like you need to get to that moment where it's like everyone who does take their own life has that last thought, that last moment. I don't think it necessarily means like a prayer, but just like that last moment, which could be a prayer before they end it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this shit's dark.
Yeah.
Like it's a overall, like I think it's a good message, but man, this is heavy.
Should we have done a podcast about like, I don't know, someone else?
Like somewhat like bubblegum pop, like breaking down every NSYNC song or something?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Backstreet Boys pod coming soon.
God.
Yeah, well, and then we get to the chorus again, which we covered.
Yes. Then
the refrain.
There is a tone change here. Like the music itself changes. This is the type of the part of the song that I think is very hopeful and uplifting. But they ain't here anymore. Don't have to settle the score, because we all live under the reign of one king. I said of one king. One king. One king.
Yeah.
One king. One king.
Okay, stop.
Okay, sorry.
So I kind of think, but they ain't here anymore, don't have to settle the score, is like there are people that aren't able to find their purpose and that come and go, whether that's self-induced or just living life without finding that deeper meaning. But like, I think like don't have to settle the score is just the fact that like you don't have to change the past. you don't have to like solve everything and make everything okay that happened, because you can move forward with a new understanding and a new grip on life. And then I think this is just because we all live under the reign of one king. It's just about how we all live under God's reign, and that he's all knowing and all forgiving, or whatever.
or whatever.
Hey, I'm not a preacher.
he's like a god or something.
God, you get to heaven and God's like, hey, welcome or whatever. Feel free to enjoy all the free food and alcohol. I'm gonna go sit.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go to ice cream socials. You end up just having free alcohol and sitting.
I said go to heaven. Oh. Where did you get ice cream social from?
No, I don't know.
I haven't been to an ice cream social since like college orientation.
Did you say heaven and I heard ice cream social?
Yes. That's
weird.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't even really like ice cream, but
who doesn't like ice? There's so many things wrong with this past 5 sentences.
Dude, I'm not a big sweets guy, and dairy is hard on my stomach.
Well, then get like the vegan ice cream.
Oh.
Some of it's actually kind of good.
I take Lactaid.
All right. So yeah, my bit was not about ice cream socials. It was about getting to heaven.
Okay.
And God's like, hey, welcome to heaven. Here are the gates. Do whatever you want. All right.
He's a very unenthusiastic God.
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
But maybe all his energy has been used by being all-knowing and all-powerful.
He's been at it for a long time.
Yeah, he's got to be tired.
Yeah.
And is he allowed to sleep? Probably not.
Probably not.
Because the world is always going.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of fucked up in that design. He should have had one time zone. So, like, everyone, 95% of the world is sleeping at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So he could, like, chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, every single second, the sun is coming up somewhere else for him. He's
right.
Like, why did I do this?
Oh, man, I gave myself way too much to do.
Yeah. Intelligent design, not so much when you created infinite work for yourself.
Come on, God.
Yeah. Do better. Great. Okay. Now that we'll be struck by lightning, they ain't here anymore. I think I struggled with this line because I think this part can be taken two ways. I think they ain't here anymore can be taken very literal as the people that have killed themselves are gone. Don't have to settle don't have to settle the score, or don't have to settle no goddamn score. I think there's just no more. If that is the case, there's no more worldly bullshit to worry about. There's no more quote unquote scores to settle or even with other people. There's no, I need to get this person back. You owe me. Like, it's just, there's none of that. God is in control. It is an uplifting way to look at a dark concept like suicide. I also think that these lyrics kind of touch on themes of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Like moving on from past conflicts and then having like a shared, like a unifying thing, and that we're all living under one God. So I think the implication there is like whatever differences people have or have had are no longer relevant. Because I do think that with the religious context of living under the reign of one king, in Christianity, it's often spoken of that like your old self dies, and then your new, like you're reborn. Like I'm a born again Christian, is the saying. Right. So I do think there's a possibility that the end of the song is speaking more to that, of dying in a metaphorical sense. So yeah, I think it suggests a perspective of like reconciliation and more like shared humanity, and existing under like a common spiritual authority. Yeah, that's kind of what I got. But then like overall, it's definitely existential questioning. Yeah, of life, and I tend to actually move towards a more literal interpretation of those lyrics, of it being about like they're not here anymore because they're dead, but still hopeful. It's a hopeful tone on that, which leads me to think that that alternate meaning, it could be a little more metaphorical because it's hopeful. Yeah. We are united. You want to hear my theory, my conspiracy theory? Oh, yeah. I love conspiracy theories. So in the music video, at this part that we're talking about is when, to quickly
summarize the music video if you haven't seen it. Essentially, like all the band members are witnessing teens kind of going through some hard shit with their family or just clearly having like an emotional struggle. It's really funny at some points where like Tremonti and like Scott Phillips are just like awkwardly watching these teenagers because they're just like clearly not that comfortable on camera. It's pretty awkward. But at the end, they kind of all come together in Joshua Tree, the desert, when it's raining and are with the band just kind of like rocking out and like clearly going through some cathartic experience while it rains. And I think it rains because the record company wanted to dilute the Christian theme of reign of one king so that you actually think he's saying like rain, not like R-E-I-G-N, but R-A-I-N. Because Christianity doesn't sell records.
Yeah, sex does.
Yeah, sex
and
does.
And wet T-shirt contests, which is why I think they did the rain.
Oh, yeah, they could have done it because
so,
of
like,
that.
we just need a group wet T-shirt contest.
Yeah, that way we can see Scott's muscles on his pectorals.
Do you want to do an episode where we're in wet T-shirts?
No, that sounds kind of uncomfortable.
Okay.
We might get the equipment wet.
I'm going to do one where I'm in a wet T-shirt.
All right, that's fine. Just bring some towels.
Okay. I'm kind of on board with that.
I'm smart.
We also have to acknowledge that it could have just been like Scott being like, no, with like my hair and my muscles, like I look sick when it's like so much more epic in the rain.
That's true. Also in that music video, you should give it a watch, but there's like a ton of wind that blows Scott's hair back. And then like at one point it looks like so much wind. He's like, oh, I might fall over. And then the other best part of that music video is when maybe Scott had done it before, but I feel like it's at least the beginning of his like sick signature move where he kind of is like in a lunge and slamming his head. It's epic.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the song.
That is the song.
Tell me some facts.
Okay. I don't have a ton.
Oh.
Again, there's not as much as I thought for how big this song was, unless I'm just like misremembering how big the song was.
Well, it was a single and it was on the top 100 Billboard side rock project hundreds.
Okay, well, I got a couple of things, and then we'll talk about it. Here's a quote from Mark Tremonti. It's a song about suicide and kids searching for that meaning of life. It's tough sometimes for kids in high school, junior high school, to go through a lot of the depression he went through, his friend, that led him to commit suicide. So I wrote about that. So according to Mark, this was inspired by the suicide of a childhood friend, and the lyrics to him deal with the difficulties in finding happiness and meaning in the world.
Damn. That's not what... It's weird because I feel like some people may have instantly made that connection, but for some reason, that's not what I really thought the song was about. But I get it.
There were two lines that have always made me think that. One more than the other. The first line is when he's clearly talking about a child at the beginning of the song. And he says they're laid to rest before they've noticed what to do. To me, that's you're burying a child. And then in the second verse, when he says, you see my wrist, I know your pain. Like, to me, that's clearly referencing, I too have, I tried to end my own life, so I know what you're going through. Yeah. So I've always thought the song was about suicide.
Maybe we do need to cover NSYNC, man. This is a lot.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Right? Does that change your view on anything?
I think it changes my view on the whole song in a way, because before I knew this, I was going to sort of discuss the fact that I thought that this was like the most preachy song, which is why I didn't like it. And part of that is definitely the line about living under the reign of one king, which I really don't like that line. Because I spoke earlier in like My Own Prison how the themes of that song are subtle and like clearly, even though after dissecting it, it's about these religious stories and stories from the Bible, but they were done in such a way that I felt like they were still pretty universal. But like just kind of yelling that we all live under the reign of one king feels very much like this is about God and we live under God. And like, I don't know, it just feels very much like in your face in that way. And I feel like most of the time, as I said, it's done in a more subtle way where I don't feel like I'm being told that like, this is God. But to me, that always, that line just kind of like feels like so in your face. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Especially because he also says it like 16 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of starts to feel, I think, because the words and because of the repetition, it kind of feels like, to me as someone who grew up in a church, it feels like a praise chorus.
Yeah.
Of like, I can see picture people like closing their eyes with their hands in the air, like singing that over and over again.
Yeah. And I think taken with the rest of the song, that's why I kind of got the idea that like, oh man, you can figure out life, just accept God. And that's why I'm like,
See, it's also cool because you have like, when you first experienced it, we just had different upbringings. And like, while I'm not really religious anymore, like when I first heard this song, like when I was 17, 18, like I was very Christian. And so like, I heard it and was like, that's cool. Whereas like you heard it, we hear the same message at the beginning, but then you interpret the end very different than I do. Yeah. Or at least it makes you feel a different way.
Definitely.
I do want to point out, it could also be about Scott's love of monarchy.
Yeah.
And that he like maybe wishes he lived in England or another country that has kings and queens.
Right. At the time though, Queen Elizabeth was ruling, so maybe not.
Yeah, but there's other countries with kings?
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Nebraska?
No, that's a part of the United States.
Oh.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Also part of the United States.
Did you know that Guam is owned by the United States?
I think I did, but it's one of those ones you wouldn't. But they use the dollar?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
I want to go there. It's like a 13-hour flight, though.
From LA?
Yeah.
That's far.
So it's like you go to Hawaii and then go to Hawaii again, basically.
What's the furthest you've ever flown?
Like in a plane or on my own?
What do you mean on your own?
Like, oh.
No, in a plane.
I can't fly. Never mind. The furthest I've ever flown?
I'll give you mine while you think about it.
Probably Hawaii.
From Texas?
No, from LA.
Well, that's the furthest? 5 hours?
Dude, the only other countries other than the U.S. I've been to are Canada and the U.S. Canada and Mexico. Sorry. God, and Nebraska.
Oh, man.
I'm a fucking moron.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The furthest I flew, I think, was Thailand. But that had a connection in Seoul. I feel like it was like 15 hours and then 6 hours. I think the longest single flight was from Qatar to United States. And that was, I think, 16 hours.
I think I'd lose my mind.
It's hard.
Like, I think I'd have to, like, upgrade myself to a special seat where I can lay down and watch TV and pull up.
Those planes are way nicer than, like, a plane you've taken across the United States, though. They're bigger.
Yeah, right. Like,
more room.
Like, anything's nicer than Frontier.
True.
Dude.
True. Okay,
well, back to let's kind of close this out.
Yes.
It's very interesting that you weren't super dialed in on the suicide aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I've thought that for a long time. I'd never read anything about it until I was doing the research and after I wrote my own thoughts. But I'm like, okay, that makes total sense.
I think I had that intuition that maybe it could have been about that, but I also try to, I think in these ways with these songs that I like, that I try to look at them from a way it's not about that, because I guess I like the positive aspect of the song, so I try to focus on that. So maybe it's like me putting it out of my brain in a way, but
I mean, to me, this is it. I still think they're hopeful, but to me, this is like written in the same vein as Sister, is that they're speaking to someone who feels marginalized, who feels less than. This one's just a little heavier. Like, we're also talking about the consequence of what happens when someone feels way less than or marginalized.
Right.
So I think it's the same way that Sister felt hopeful in the sense of, like Scott was saying, I see you, I empathize with you. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a similar message here. It's just much heavier subject matter.
Right.
I mean, that was heavy too.
Yeah.
But
like
this is like, I guess, next level because we're actually addressing death. Like intentional death. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, heavy shit. Is there any other facts you have, or should we get to our ratings?
I think we're ready for the ratings. Again, it's the other facts were just different kind of angles on the same thing of why they wrote it. And
okay,
there was a fact that I don't know if it's true, and I want you to see if off the top of your head you can tell me if it's true or not true.
Okay.
several places I read that this is the only Creed song that uses profanity.
What, in the form of goddamn?
Yeah.
I could maybe see that.
I swore there was another song on this album that has a naughty word.
Other dams and other goddams, maybe. I can't think of any, like, I feel like they never, like, none of their albums have parental advisories or anything.
No.
Which was the mark of a sick album in 1999.
Yeah, that's how you knew it was cool.
One that mommy daddy didn't want you to listen to.
Pull it out of your backpack and all the girls are like, ooh, can I
see that little box at the bottom.
Yeah, do you want to go in the stairwell and touch my butt?
Whoa, dude. Did that actually happen?
Yeah, but I'd go in the stairwell by myself and touch my own butt. Yeah,
okay.
Because that conversation was all with myself.
Cool.
Yeah, help.
How about I do my rating first?
Do it.
This is not one of my favorite songs.
Wow.
And I think it's my least favorite single.
Wow.
Ultimately, I think musically, which obviously I'm not a musical expert by any means, but I don't think it's super interesting. I think Tremonti's riff at the top, I think he's made better chord progressions than that. I feel like it's kind of a boring one.
Okay. And
a little repetitious.
Okay.
I also think the chorus isn't super gripping, and like with the power chords and the lyrics are obviously pretty repetitive. My favorite part is the piano at the end. That part's kind of sick musically. But then again, I think with the lyrics and the One King stuff we kind of touched on is where I feel like a little I don't know what the word is. I feel like a little put off by it.
Disenfranchised?
Yes, exactly.
That's an SAT word.
Disenchanted, maybe.
Enchanted.
I think disenchanted.
Encanta.
Yeah.
Encanta.
So that being said, it's still a good song. I really like the acoustic version of this one too. I think that one's better actually, but it just doesn't grip me in the way that the other songs do. Especially the other singles, I think, all have their own unique aspects that make them stand out more. And this one just kind of falls a little flat.
Can I say one thing before you score?
Fine.
I have a feeling this could be we might be the furthest apart on our scores for this song. I already have my score written down.
Okay.
On the scoreboard.
I definitely don't hate this song. I just think I think there are other songs on the album that would make better singles. That being said, I think this is a powerful song for people that identify with it. And I like that aspect of it, that it's like, I guess it is real and it's raw in a lot of ways that modern music, I think, tends to be really surface level. This could be really helpful to people that identify with it and feel seen in that way. So I guess I have a lot of...
Stop wasting time.
I know.
Give me the yes.
I have a lot of mixed emotions on the song. Ultimately, though, it's not one I seek out. And I would give it 2.75.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Okay. I don't think it's particularly gripping.
That's way higher than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought the way you're talking about it, I thought you were going to give it I thought you were going like 1.5 or something.
No, I think I probably preface it with that because it is a single. And I think when you have a song that's a single with all this like publicity about it, people expect, like, oh, it's one of the best songs. But I think I needed to lay out why it's not maybe the best song for me.
I like that. I love this song. It's probably my third favorite on the album. Yeah, man, I think again, for being like 17, 18 and feeling like a connection to something because of their music.
That's awesome.
That I wouldn't otherwise have a connection to. Cause like I wasn't a depressed teen. Mm-hmm. Like I had a pretty normal, like, and I'm very thankful for it, a pretty like good, healthy upbringing. But like the fact that they could make me feel like I identified with it just through the song was really cool.
Yeah.
And it definitely made me like think about, well, maybe other people didn't have it quite like I did. And like, I should be empathetic towards that and like be cognizant of that. So for me, that was cool. Yeah. Musically, it's not the most complex or best song, but I also really love the tone shift before the end of the song. I don't mind the repetition. And then obviously I see or first experienced the One King stuff just in a different way because of how I was brought up. So that wasn't ever like a little pin poking me. I give What's This Life For 3.75 yes.
Nice.
That is nice.
I like when we have these sort of different views and and of feelings about a song, because I think what's really kind of dumb is like when people try to rank songs like the greatest of all time, when it's like, I don't know, music, I think more than any other medium is just like so fucking subjective.
Yeah.
So like, I understand how you can like rate a song and like, wow, that guitar is amazing. But when it comes to like the emotional connection, I think that just impacts how we enjoy music. So that's all that matters in the end.
Yeah. The song makes me happy, even though it's kind of heavy.
That's awesome, man.
I listened to it the whole way to the studio this morning.
Really?
Yeah. That was like a 30-minute drive.
That's like 6 times? 5, 6 times?
7 times. It's 4 minutes and 6 seconds long, I believe.
Yeah.
The album
I listened
version
to it.
anyway.
Yeah, I listened to it a bunch too today to try to really get my my feelings straightened.
Dude, we got them straightened.
We got them straightened.
What's this pod for? This pod is for talking about
name.
Creed, and we just did it.
Yeah.
So maybe we just figured out what this life's for, and it's what we're doing right now.
It's to podcast.
About Creed.
Yes.
Although we're trying to figure out what we're doing by talking about a song that's questioning what we're doing. So are we just as bad as God creating a round earth with infinite rolling time zones, and that we've created an endless loop for ourselves? Any of that makes sense?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
Any other final thoughts on the song?
No, I want to listen to it more because I
Nothing's stopping you.
I love this song. I'm very much looking forward to the final song on the album.
Hell yeah.
Like this song is a I don't know. I feel like this song will always mean a little something to me just because
I love that.
It did open up a part of my brain that was like made me have to be cognizant of people that were less like myself, which is I think a healthy thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not everybody thinks in the way you do.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, thank God. The sun would have exploded years ago. Well, anyway, Reid, we only have a few more episodes left of this album, not the whole podcast. Don't worry.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to hit every album, every song.
Every song, every album.
And some special episodes.
Yep. And some bonus track episodes. I'm pretty excited for that in connection with My Own Prison. But in the meantime, Reid, I think it's time we make our escape.
Let's go there.
For My Own Podcast, this has been Andrew Colin.
I've been, am, and will continue to be Reid Fenlaw.
That's true. Bye.
See ya.